For most of human history, our story has been one of struggle, of survival. But what if that's all about to change? Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea from Andrew Turtle's work, the journey out of an age of scarcity and into humanity's next great chapter, what he calls Day 3.
And this quote, this is the absolute core of our entire explainer today. It's suggesting that our future isn't just about building cooler technology, it's about us, as a species, finally growing up. It's a story of maturity, not just machinery. All right, so to really understand where we're headed, we first have to get a super clear picture of where we are right now. Let's call it the Day 2 world. Think of it as a civilization running on a kind of scarcity operating system. At the heart of this whole system is this one deep, often unspoken belief. There just isn't enough for everyone. And for thousands of years, that wasn't just a belief, it was totally true. So things like competition, hierarchy, even fear, they were actually pretty logical responses to the world we lived in. Now, here's what's so fascinating. Our big systems don't just manage scarcity, they literally depend on it. I mean, take a look. Industrial labor only really works if there's a scarcity of good jobs. Competitive markets, they're designed specifically to hand out limited stuff. Scarcity isn't just a bug, it's a feature baked right into the code of our world. But here is where the plot takes a major twist. Those foundational ideas, the very bedrock of our Day 2 world, they're starting to crack. That whole scarcity operating system is, well, it's starting to dissolve right under our feet. And that brings us to this huge question. What if this ancient rulebook we've been playing by is already ending? And look, this isn't happening because of some new philosophy. No, it's happening because our actual capabilities are fundamentally changing. The ground is literally shifting. And maybe the most powerful sign of this whole shift is energy. Just look at this chart. For the first time in human history, renewables like solar and wind are becoming the cheapest power we can get. And since energy is like the master resource, everything else depends on it, when its cost collapses, it starts a domino effect, destabilizing scarcity everywhere else. And it's not just energy, not by a long shot. Automation is starting to decouple labor from actually making things. Digital information, well, it's basically free to copy and share. We're even seeing this huge cultural shift where younger generations are looking at things like inequality and saying, hey, that looks like a design flaw, not a law of nature. The problem is no longer a lack of stuff, it's a system that just can't handle abundance.
So this brings us to the transition itself, the road to Day 3. And it is so important to get this. This is not some clean overnight switch. It's going to be messy. It's going to be turbulent. It's a hybrid era where the old world and the new world are kind of forced to exist at the same time. This is the logic we're leaving behind. A logic that was built for a world of not enough. A world where just surviving was the main goal and competing was the main strategy. And this is the logic that's starting to pop up everywhere. A world where survival is just assumed, and the goal shifts to flourishing, where taking things from the earth gives way to regenerating it, and where cooperation actually becomes the smarter, more efficient strategy. This side-by-side comparison really just puts it all out there, doesn't it? We're literally shifting from rigid hierarchies to flexible networks, from just trying to survive to trying to help everyone flourish. It's a fundamental change in the operating principles of civilization itself. It's a total rewiring. And here's the most incredible part. We are living right in the middle of this great transition. You and me, right now. This is not science fiction set in some distant future. These shifts are happening as we speak, and they're projected to speed up dramatically over the next few decades. So, why? What is all this for? Why does moving beyond scarcity even matter? Well, the ultimate destination of this whole journey is the emergence of humanity as a single, coordinated, planetary species. See, as scarcity dissolves, it triggers these three absolutely profound transformations. First, the basics for a good life, energy, food, housing, they become like utilities, just available to everyone. Second, once survival is off the table, human purpose is set free. And third, we actually start to act like a cohesive planetary whole. Okay, so what does behaving like a planetary species actually look like? Well, as you can see here, it means our biggest systems become globally interconnected. Our energy grids become planetary networks. Restoring the environment becomes a coordinated effort across borders. And our governments shift from this zero-sum rivalry to shared problem-solving.
It's a huge shift from being fragmented to being coherent. Now, this is a really key point. Day 3, this messy era we're in right now, it isn't the final destination. It's the turbulent, necessary bridge that gets us ready for a new, stable way of living, one built on universal access to all the essentials, what's called the utility economy. When you boil it all down, this entire transition is really about one thing: freedom. Freedom from the deep instinctual fear that has basically had humanity in a chokehold for millennia. When survival is no longer the thing you wake up worrying about, our potential is just truly unlocked. And so that leaves us with the ultimate question, one that goes from the massive scale of civilization right back down to each and every one of us. Once we've solved for survival, what do we choose to become? What contributions do we choose to make? That is the question the Day 3 world is asking all of us.